our sash girls, duck skittle, lady bussers, lassies, and the standard bearer-elect. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give your attention to the Chair and President of St Ronan's Border Games, Mrs Dawn Patterson.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this year's St Ronan's Border Games Cleikum Ceremonies. This is a day that celebrates not only the rich history and traditions of our town, but also the spirit of community that has been passed down through generations. As we gather here today, we honour the stories, the customs, and the people who have made these ceremonies such a cherished event in our town's history. The Cleikum Ceremonies are a symbol of our unity, of our shared pride in the place we call home. It's a chance to come together, to celebrate our heritage, and to enjoy the warmth and camaraderie that makes St Ronan's and Innerleithen so special. May I extend a very warm welcome to the hundreds of St Ronanites here tonight, as well as exiles and friends from other towns. We have with us this evening visitors from Peebles, West Linton, Pennycook, Galashiels, Selkirk, Duns, Lanark, Lauder, Edinburgh and Musselburgh. Hopefully, we can repay some of the kindness and hospitality that has been shown to our representatives as they have travelled around the borders this year. Many of you will already have enjoyed your own festivals, but for those who have not, I offer my best wishes for a successful time. We're very fortunate in the borders to be able to celebrate our history each year and to continue the links between towns which are unique to this area. We are also joined this evening by the parents of our standard bearer and lass, lady busser, duxies, monks and sash girls. Welcome to you all. You should be very proud of your children. It's also a pleasure to welcome back past principals to the Cleikum. This year we have with us Duck's boy from 1975, Graham Bell, Duck's girl from the same year, Maureen Bolson, 1965 standard bearer Frannick Pyack, Colin Watt, standard bearer from 1975, and standard bearer and lass from 2000, Drew Caldwell and Susan Graham. Congratulations. I hope you all enjoy your special evening. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the Games Committee and volunteers who have worked tirelessly to make Games Week possible. Your dedication does not go unnoticed, and we're also grateful for your time and efforts. The Cleikum Ceremonies are not just a celebration of the past, but an opportunity to look forward to the future of our community. We are bound by the memories of those who have come before us, and we will continue to pass these traditions on to future generations. Thank you again for being here, for your support, and for making today so very special. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please enjoy the Cleikum Ceremonies 2025.
Great
The legend of St. Ronan, an 8th century monk. His vigorous methods of dealing with the darkness and ignorance of his time were symbolically displayed by showing the monk with his crook or crozier, Cleikum the De'il by the hind leg. This was the heraldic sign that swung over the doorway of Meg Dodd's Inn in the village of St. Ronan's, hence Cleikum Inn. As the medieval monk overcame evil by his enlightened teaching, so the Ducks boy at the present time, by his achievement in knowledge, represents the patron saint in this ceremony of the Cleikum. In the presence of his brother monks, he is received by his predecessor in office and presented to the president of St. Ronan's Games Committee, who invests him with the symbol of that office, the Cleikum crozier. St. Ronan, Anno Domini, 737.
Madam President, on the in office, I present to you my successor for the coming year, Archie Macmillan. I trust he will carry out with honour and dignity all duties of the high office which you now install him. Thank you.
In the name and by the sanction of the loyal sons and daughters who treasure the old associations of this ancient town, we proclaim you our chosen titular head, the representative, true and undisputed, according to our judgment and in virtue of your own individual merits, as most worthy to sustain and uphold the honour that time and tradition attributes to our patron St. Ronan, as shown forth in the history, the heraldry and legendary of our arms. By the deeds of our ancestors, we're enabled to walk into a higher light, a wider freedom, and a broader truth. As a memorial of this proud retrospect, we bequeath to you the symbols of a noble and triumphant past, a heritage that is yours and ours. Watch and pray, and by the might of your understanding and your knowledge, battle for the right and despise evil. Seek the good in your native town, cherish its old associations, and perpetuate its high name. So shall you honour your office and hand down the banner of St. Ronan's, undimmed and untarnished, to be the glory and boast of future generations. Congratulations, Archie.
The Duck's Girl of the Year, Isla Sibley, is now presented to the President by the Lady Busser, Clara Perry. Mrs. Wilson will invest the Duck's Girl with a regalia and medal. Customs old, and we observe them in the ceremony of bussing the crozier and staves. During this, the audience is requested to join in singing the first and last verses of On St. Ronan's. With the might of your understanding and your knowledge, battle for the right and despise evil. Watch and pray.
Our principal guest this year was born in Edinburgh in 1981. He attended St Ronan's Primary School before going on to Peebles High School. On leaving school, he began working in a stockbroker's before spending 20 years working for investment management companies in Edinburgh, including First State Investments and Baillie Gifford. He has strong connections to St Ronan's Border Games. He was a monk in 1990 before going on to be standard bearer in 2008. He is a past member of the Games Committee, having served as secretary for a number of years. His grandparents were standard bearer in Lass in 1948, and both his mum and sister were duck squirrels. Tonight, he follows in his mum's footsteps, as she was principal guest in 2005. He is a keen supporter of all things Innerleithen, including spending 10 happy years on stage in Innerleithen Opera. He's a past chieftain of Innerleithen Pipe Band Championships and is an active member of Lodge St Ronan's 856. He has a deep love for the culture and history of the Borders, and he shares this on his popular blog. In 2023, he turned his passion into his full-time career, starting his own tour guiding business. In his spare time, he is happiest out walking in the Border Hills. Our principal guest lives in Innerleithen with his wife Karen and 2 young daughters. Please welcome principal guest for 2025, Mr. Stuart Wilson.
Picture the scene. It's 5:30 p.m. on Cleikum night 2015, 10 years ago this very night. I'm at my parents' kitchen table, nearing the end of my 7th year as Games Week Secretary, and I'm enjoying my steak pie dinner, relaxed and excited for the night ahead. Suddenly, the door bursts open. The president of the Games strides in. No knocking required, of course. The president doesn't knock during Games Week. They can go wherever they want. He marched over and slams a script onto the table like a royal decree. Dougie Patterson's lost his voice and can't narrate the Cleikum. You'll hate to do it. And with that, he was gone, leaving me with a forkful of uneaten steak pie and a rising sense of panic. Fast forward 1 hour, I'm on this stage, behind the curtains over there, gripping a microphone, sweat pouring out my baldy head. Poised, but nowhere near ready to narrate the Cleikum Ceremonies. At my side was Dougie Patterson, and for a generation, Doug's deep, sonorous voice, sombre, had defined the Cleikum. He was my Games hero and a great friend, there to guide me through this ordeal. But the truth was, he really had lost his voice. So there was no deep, sonorous tones whispering sweet nothings in my ear. It was just wee croaks and the odd hand signal. I was kind of on my own. My opening line, you've heard it, the immortal, poetic, echoes wake in Leithen Valley and in the shade of Plora. Spine tingling, as you know, and I was focused on it because I didn't know what to let anybody do, least of all Dougie. So as the choir faded, the music drops, and I lift the mic to my mouth, All I can think, screaming inside my head, is, for the love of God, Stuart, dinna do it in Doogie's voice. True story. Games Week means everything to me. Being standard bearer with my oldest pal, Lindsay, back in 2008 was a real honour. Looking back, thinking about the games again with this speech in mind, it's stirred up a lot of emotions in me, I have to say. And I do want to take a moment tonight to recognise Johnny Lee and Katie Archibald as they retire from the flag party on what is a bittersweet night when you step out. Karen and I were very lucky to be at Johnny and Katie's introduction in 2022. And I remember Johnny telling me how proud he was to be accepted as the standard bearer of Innerleithen, even though he was born in England. Well, Johnny, tonight it's my turn to be proud. You've won that title brilliantly. In fact, I think you're one of the best standard bearers we've ever had. It says here that'll get his mum greeting, but it's nearly got me greeting, so that's backfired. And my involvement with the Games definitely stepped up a gear when I became secretary. Dorothy McKee, Mrs. Games herself, she'll be up there somewhere. She was retiring after 20 years. And at the time, I was still in the Standard Bearers Flag Party as right-hand man. So when the need for a new secretary came up at committee, I did what was expected of a right-hand man at a committee. Kept my head down, my mouth shut, and hoped to go unnoticed. But fate had other plans for me. Walking through the Memorial Hall gardens after that meeting, I was approached by none other than Norman Scott, legendary treasurer of the Games Committee. He suggested I put my name forward, and if I did, he'd back his. Now, for those who don't know, the backing of Norman Scott is the St. Ronan's equivalent of a Paul Hollywood handshake. If it's offered, you better take it, basically. So duly convinced, I put my hand up and I was elected, being nominated and seconded by Dorothy herself and her husband Ted, who, to their credit, managed to contain their glee. And Dorothy invited me down to her and Ted's house on George Street to begin a lengthy, rigorous and thorough handover process, which consisted of Dorothy handing me a shoebox full of papers and rosettes and uttering the unforgettable words, "Good luck." I'll get a clip round the ear for that later on, sorry, Dot. When our president, Dawn, phoned me in March to ask if I'd be the principal guest, she said she believed I could speak to a wide cross-section of our community, both dyed-in-the-wool locals and those who made Innerleithen their home more recently. That meant a lot to me. I've always tried to be welcoming, especially to newcomers to the area, and I think that comes from my upbringing. My parents instilled in me and my sister Claire a curiosity about the world around us and a love of sharing it with others. And speaking of Claire, who's sitting there tonight, I should mention she was Ducks Girl in 1991, with her wee brother as principal guest and her niece as a sash girl. I think she's maybe feeling a bit left out. I often think about those experiencing Games Week for the very first time. Imagine, if you will, a couple who've moved here from Edinburgh, probably in a Volkswagen Transporter van with their young kids, drawn here by the mountain biking trails, a barista on every corner, and of course, our beloved Scandinavian lifestyle shop, Hoos & Co. Life in Innerleithen, or Stockbridge on Tweed if you like, is going just swimmingly, until their child comes home for Skillion Day, clutching a letter saying they've been selected to become a monk. Welcome to St. Ronan's. Now, we must admit, to outsiders, the Burnin the De'il stuff might seem a wee bit weird. And my response? Of course it's weird. It's been advertised as a weird spectacle since 1901. We love that it's weird, and that's part of the charm. But we also have a responsibility. Games Week must never become so opaque that newcomers feel excluded. Keeping it welcome and accessible isn't just important, it's essential. Innerleithen has changed, and it continues to change. That's been made really clear to me ever since my daughter Laura started going to St. Ronan's School. I think back to my time at St. Ronan's, and Innerleithen at that time still felt like very much a working class, semi-industrial or post-industrial town. Most of us shared similar backgrounds and experiences. That's simply no longer the case. The town's demographic has shifted, with a growing professional class bringing a new energy and reshaping our community. But don't worry, this isn't a weren't the good old days great speech, far from it. I love what Innerleithen has become. New faces bring fresh ideas, different perspectives, and a vibrancy that flows down from the trails and the hills into the heart of the town. I've no doubt at all that energy helped me make my own career change possible. Innerleithen is definitely a place of opportunity, an innovative town that embraces reinvention, a town that, dare I say it, might just be the envious others in the borders, though they'll never admit it. Innerleithen is a special place, and the games and the Cleikum must remain at its heart. When James Hogg and his pals envisaged the gathering 198 years ago, it wasn't meant just for some of the people in the town, it was about bringing everyone together. Likewise, when George Hope Tate and others created this Cleikum 124 years ago, it wasn't about exclusivity. These events offer a shared sense of community and a quiet conviction that welcome matters and goodness and light will always win the day. So it's on us, the community, to keep that vision alive. That means breaking down any barriers, perceived or real, evolving the festival with the town, and keeping the pure spirit of St. Ronan's burning bright. The great news is that we have an exceptional team at the helm of the Games today, one that honours tradition while opening the festival to more of our community than ever before. It's easy to forget how much the Games have evolved. We often imagine it's been a certain way, and in many ways the heart of this festival remains unchanged. But recent years have brought inspired changes that reflect a growing spirit of inclusivity and creativity. We now have a printed newsletter, hand-delivered to every household in the town, keeping everyone in the loop the old-fashioned way. We've got online systems for ball tickets, live streaming, using technology to make the games accessible near and far. We've had outreach stalls at the school fair, the co-op and Caldwell's, welcoming families, newcomers and curious visitors alike. Event timings have been adjusted, from the kids' sports to the treasure hunt and the over-60s night, making participation easier and more joyful for all. As a wee aside, I was a guest of Dawn and Alan at the over-60s night the other night, and if you're over 60 and you're no gone, you're missing out, that's all I'll say. Last year we had pupils at St. Ronan's School all the way from nursery to P7 creating a delightful wee animation explaining Games Week, guided by ex-Ducks girl Simone Adam. We've seen real progress in fairness too, with sash girl equality now firmly in place. And tonight, for the first time ever, this ceremony is being narrated by a female voice. And it's not just any female voice, it's our Rosie. And isn't she brilliant? I think that's a third clip round the year I'm going to get after this. Each of these steps has helped the festival reach that little bit further. But there's always room to go further still, because Games Week isn't just a dusty old tradition, it's a living, evolving celebration of Innerleithen itself. I'd like to leave you with 3 messages. To Dawn and her team, you're doing great work, making the Games more accessible, more sustainable, and just more fun than ever. Challenges will come, like somebody losing their voice 2 hours before narrating the Cleikum, or the bats and balls being lost for the kids' sports, Alan. And particularly some of the incredibly tough choices we've had to make around COVID time, which was really hard for us all, and tough conversations that continue and always come up in the work of a committee. But you'll always rise above them because you work together. Second, to us dyed in the wool St. Ronanites, we have to continue to support the Games however we can, especially as it evolves. Change has always been part of its story, and it's what keeps it moving forward. So let's back this committee in their stewardship of our beloved Games, even when initially we sometimes hear doubts. And finally, to those new to the town or to anyone unsure about Games Week, my message is quite simple. Embrace the weird spectacle. Get involved, soak it in and be part of it. Because this tonight is Innerleithen, and is that no something to be proud of? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, simply put, I think this has been the greatest honour of my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. Your speech was everything I knew it would be. Thank you. Can I now ask Stuart to present the medals to the Ducks boy and the Ducks girl?
From the legend of St. Ronan down through the centuries to 1100, and the first recorded history of the hamlet of Innerleithen, which seems to have derived the Celtic appellation from its site near the influx of the Leithen with the Tweed. It appears in the record for the first time in connection with the church. Malcolm IV was on the throne, and his hunting lodge Traquair, which in present days is reputed to be the oldest inhabited house in Scotland. It is traditionally asserted that when in residence at Traquair, King Malcolm's son was accidentally drowned in the deep pool at the foot of the Leithen while on a hunting expedition. The body was recovered and carried to the church, which at the time was in the charge of the monks of Kelso. In recognition of this act, the king bestowed the right of sanctuary to this territory. It is believed that this church was situated on the hillside, somewhere between what we know as Kirkland and Cauldhaim. From this period, probably, a very slow development of the hamlet to the status of a village in the late 1700s when industry made its appearance. 1827, a prominent year in its history and closely connected with our celebrations tonight. Picture a meeting room just off the present High Street and join such personalities as Wilson, Hogg, and Glassford Bell, with presumably Sir Walter Scott in the chair. There, St. Ronan's Border Games, reputed to be the oldest organised sports meeting in Scotland, were born. Kent North and the Shepherd with gentle Sir Walter. Right band o' immortals join in the refrain. March onward, St. Ronan, let not your steps falter, while you raise high the banner, again and again.
Madam President, I return to you the blue banner of St. Ronan's, unsullied and untarnished, and I trust that I have carried out my duties of office to the satisfaction of my fellow townspeople. My year in office as Standard Bearer has been very eventful and an enjoyable one. Emily and I have been guests at many border festivals and enjoyed each one immensely. In each town, we have received a warm welcome and made many new friends. I hope some of the hospitality shown to us can be repaid to our guests here this evening. I would like to thank my supporters and their lassies for all their advice, my family for all their help, and Emily for accompanying me and helping me make this year so successful. Finally, I give my best wishes to my successor Jamie and his lass Amy for a happy and rewarding year in office. Thank you.
Ex-Standard Bearer Rory Murray, thank you for returning this standard safely to my keeping, unsullied and untarnished. You have worthily upheld your stewardship, and I wish you health and happiness in the years to come. Thank you. I now call upon Standard Bearer for 2025, Mr. Jamie Patterson. Jamie Patterson, it gives me great pleasure to install you as Standard Bearer for Innerleithen for 2025. You have been called to this high office, and your past record shows by word and deed that you justly deserve this honour. Guard this standard securely and bear yourself well, that you long retain the trust of your fellow townspeople. Congratulations. As a memento of this occasion, I'll present you with your Cleikum medal. Can I ask Standard Bearer's last for 2025, Miss Amy Ralston, to invest the Standard Bearer with his sash and to bust the colour. As a memento of this occasion, Amy, can I present you with your Cleikum brooch?
Madam President, Mr Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honour for me to be chosen as Standard Bearer of my native town, which at this time celebrates the traditions associated with its history. To our Ducks boy Archie, who tonight keeps alive the memory of our patron St Ronan, I tender my congratulations and best wishes for a successful year in office. As Standard Bearer for 2025, it will be my earnest endeavour to honour the memory of the founders of St Ronan's Border Games by carrying the blue banner of St Ronan's for the ensuing year. My thanks to you, Madam President, to my right and left-hand supporters, and to you, ladies and gentlemen, for the reception you have accorded to me tonight.
Now call upon standard bearer and last to present the medals to the monks, sash girls and the lantern bearer.
Primary 7 sash girls, Eva Daw and Lily Thompson. Primary 6, Evie Roger and Charlotte Donald. Primary 5, Hannah Rogers and Darcy Sharp. Primary 4, Isabel Boyd and Edith Boyd. Primary 3, Remy McMath and Sophie Daw. Primary 2, Laura Wilson. Primary 3 monks, Lennon Cox and Ruben Murphy. Primary 4 monk Gregor D, and Primary 4-5 Angus Panton. Primary 5, Callum Little and Miles Oliphant. Primary 6, Arthur Aitken and Ewan Glendinning. Primary 7, Alfie Notman and Charlie Welsh. And lantern bearer, Aidan Faulkner. This ceremony will now be followed by an act of remembrance at the War Memorial for the Fallen in the 2 World Wars. Thereafter, a procession will be formed which will proceed by way of High Street to St Ronan's Well, the reputed location of Sir Walter Scott's novel. There, our newly installed standard bearer will drink of the water from the hands of St Ronan. The monks and principals will now recess through the hall, and the audience is kindly requested to remain seated till this has been completed.